Well, good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I appreciate you taking your time to come by today. My name is Jason Morgan. I am an architect at Mimecast, where I am responsible for the design and build out of AI applications across the Mimecast platform. Today, I'm going to be talking about cybersecurity, responsible AI, data privacy in this generative age. Now, while this is a sponsored session, so I'm going to be talking about it within the context of our human risk platform at Mimecast. I'm also hoping that you get some bullet points to take back to your organizations, to take to your other vendors, things to ask them, things that they need to be thinking about, and things you need to be thinking about as you build out capabilities within the machine learning and AI space at your companies. So I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that over the last decade or so, in particular in the last 5 years, that the nature of how your employees work has changed dramatically. So we went 10 years ago, 15 years ago, from a world where individuals were working in their inboxes. They were sending emails, they were receiving emails, they were collaborating through email in order to get their day-to-day work done. The world has changed dramatically since then. We know now that employees are spending at least 2/3 of their time in applications outside of email. We're talking about Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, of course, and a whole myriad of other applications that they're using to get their work done. Email is no longer the pure center of their universe. Now, while the nature of work has changed, how people are doing their work has changed, humans haven't changed very much. It turns out, even in this new world, that research shows that about 8% of your users are imposing about 80% of the risk in your organization. So it doesn't matter where they're working, whether it's email or Slack or Teams or Zoom, et cetera, you still have this core set of users that are imposing costs on your organization, inducing risk. Of course, while people haven't changed a lot, machines are evolving rapidly. As we all know, we're all seeing it. There are a large number of new attack vectors and tools that are being used by attackers to infiltrate our organizations, manipulate people into doing things they shouldn't be doing. You have the whole situation where you have highly specific, sophisticated spear phishing attacks using generative AI techniques across languages, across regions, across verticals. You also have deep fakes. So these spear phishing attacks are now implementing deep fake approaches to get people to do stuff they shouldn't do. And now you also have a new emerging problem of agentic and kind of dynamic AI systems that are able to take advantage of writing and rewriting their own code, writing their own exploits, and taking advantage of an attack surface that is much broader than it used to be. So what we are saying is that their cybersecurity tools need to start evolving at machine speed as well. You know your attack surfaces have increased. You know your people are not adjusting to this, but the cyber attackers are definitely adjusting and more rapidly using these tools. You also need to take a new perspective on how you're building and protecting your environments at your businesses. You need to be starting to focus on the human risk that's involved in your organization. The nexus, what I call the nexus of risk, is no longer an email box. It's no longer an endpoint somewhere. It's not an individual database. It is now purely, or at its core, a human risk. So what we need to do is we need to purchase, we need to develop defensive AI tools that can just as rapidly evolve with the changing approaches that the attackers are using. We need to be using defensive AI to rapidly detect and respond to new approaches that are attacking us, new threats. We need to also do automated threat learning and adaptation. We need to use the same AI tools that are being used by the attackers in order to simulate an adversarial testing within our environments. Of course, we cannot leave people out of this. We also need to use the same tools that the attackers are using to help train our employees better, to be able to recognize the new and emerging problems, the new emerging threats that are coming out of the generative AI world. And finally, as you may realize, we also need tools that help relieve our cybersecurity analysts of some of their work. We need to be producing machine-assisted remediation in our platforms in order to assist the broader attack surface, or to help them manage a broader attack surface than they've had in the past. So that's all well and good, but as many of you probably know, there are a lot of implications about developing machine learning models, AI models, in order to provide this type of threat protection adaptive service. At Mimecast over the last year, 2 years, we have adopted 7 principles of responsible AI development for our organization. It starts with privacy. So the AI platform that we developed at Mimecast is a privacy by design system. We are thinking about privacy of users. We're thinking about privacy of the organization at every stage of the model and system development process. So we are doing things like, we are careful about how we collect data. What data do we collect? Are we limiting the amount of data we're collecting to service what we need to do, not just a kitchen sink approach where we download everything, throw it into a data lake, and then come back later. We're also implementing and have implemented privacy guarantees throughout our machine learning pipeline during the training process, limiting who can see what, when can they see stuff, monitoring and logging when they see it, redacting data that doesn't need to be used for a particular use case. And then finally, we are also implementing privacy guarantees through the pipeline of inference and how the results are, of course, presented to security analysts or whoever needs to deal with the results of a threat detection. We've also introduced practices and systems to help make sure there's no unintended bias in these systems. We do not want our models or our systems to unduly affect or indicate that a particular class, organization, or vertical is a problematic one. We talk a lot, like doing this talk, about how we're transparent in the use of AI and machine learning throughout our platform. We also make it clear to internally how AI is used throughout Mimecast. We focus a great deal as well on making AI and ML models explainable and interpretable when it's possible. We like to be able to tell the customers why a piece of content was flagged as problematic, or why an email was, why a particular Slack message was, why a particular file share was problematic. We do not hide that behind a number. We provide explanation. So we've also implemented processes to ensure services do not impose undue risks to individuals or the organization. At the highest level, Mimecast has also implemented an accountability strategy that starts with an executive-sponsored AI council that helps us set policy frameworks around how data are used, what models are used, where those models come from, if we're using a third-party model and not developing them ourselves, how inference is interpreted, and how it's presented to users. And then, of course, we're also utilizing this council to help us shape policy around data usage, data privacy, et cetera. And finally, it's very important to Mimecast, and I think it's more generally important, that we really recognize the importance of in developing models responsibly in a socially and environmentally sustainable way. So taking these 7 principles, in the last year, Mimecast implemented, after implementation, we were able to be the first cybersecurity vendor to become ISO 42001 certified. Now, this is if you're familiar with the ISO 42001, it is an international standard. It's a new standard for the governance and management of machine learning and AI systems. So the defensive AI capabilities that Mimecast is developing, along with the principles of our responsible AI development, how we've deployed it, how we've implemented it, has allowed us to rapidly integrate new capabilities that expand beyond the inbox to focus much more greatly on the human nexus of risk within your organizations. Within the last year, we've acquired a company, a tool called Insider from Code 42, which has allowed us to understand how file and content is shared inside and outside your organizations. We've also acquired Aware, which provides us security tools around Teams and Slack and other collaboration platforms. Insider is now integrated with the Aware suite of sensitive data modeling and sensitive data extraction in order to be able to flag deeply embedded content in the files that are being shared, whether that be with SharePoint, OneDrive up to Google Drive, or even copied and pasted up into a GenAI solution that you may or may not know your users are using. So through these, we can now present a much more holistic view of the risks associated with each email inbox. Each email or each file sharing service or GenAI service, each collaboration tool, whether that's Slack or Teams, Zoom chat. In other words, we have re-platformed ourselves to be a platform focused on the risk that humans are posing within your organizations. Now, clearly, Mimecast can't cover the complete cybersecurity landscape. The landscape's huge, as you see here. There are numerous categories. Across a variety of categories, tools have evolved over the last 20 or 30 years to be highly effective security solutions within their spaces, whether that's applications or data management, identity management, endpoints, et cetera. Endpoint security tools are built by experts in endpoints, and they're very good. Network security solutions are developed by experts in network traffic. Each of these solutions is highly effective at preventing certain types of attacks and mitigating certain types of risks. But what about the human layer that's associated with every single one of these risks in your environment? Which security solutions are looking after the humans in your organization. It's Mimecast's thesis that the security tools you rely on were built for particular ways of attacks in the past. It's no longer the case, though, that annual compliance training will satisfy or mitigate the risks that are emerging now that we've introduced GenAI and rapid evolution of these types of attacks. At Mimecast, we're merging this old approach, though, with the new reality and providing a solution for this missing human layer as we see it. So with Mimecast's new human risk management platform, we are looking at the human layer. We are looking carefully at the actions that users take, the attacks that are targeted at them, and the accesses they have across the ecosystem within which they work. We bringing all that together in a responsible way using our responsible AI platform to build individualized risk and organization profiles based not just on Mimecast data, but also third-party tools you probably already have deployed and are using. With the risk profile of your organization and your end users, we make it easy to measure human risk. We empower users through tailored training and targeted interventions, and we protect the work surface with adaptive controls that adjust the security posture real-time with the emerging threats that we see. So with the Mimecast risk management platform, you can respond appropriately to the timely human risk within your organization, turn targeted users into protected defenders, assign training and blocking threats of those who are susceptible to particular attacks, turn accidental users into safe operators, preventing downloads of malicious files for those who need a little bit more reminder. And we can turn malicious insiders into secure insiders, taking swift action to revoke access and prevent breaches for those that have demonstrated malicious intent. So I want to thank you again for coming. If you found this useful, you want to learn more, we of course have a booth here. You can also scan this QR code. And if you're particularly interested in the development of AI solutions within the security environment and outside it, I will be floating around the booth and I'm more than happy to talk. So thank you very much for your time today.